Hi guys, my name is Sheenie. I'm going to be giving you guys some tips on transitioning or separating from the military. A little backstory on me. I was active duty in the Air Force for 9 years. First tip is to have a plan when you get out of the military. Like, what is your plan? Like, why are you separating? And think about the benefits you're leaving, right? So you're leaving a pretty stable job with benefits and healthcare and all that stuff. So when I say have a plan, what I'm trying to say is legit, like, what is your plan? Because in the military, they kind of tell you what to do. You know what I mean? Like, they tell you when to go to PT, when to go to work, when to go to commander's call. They even tell you where you're gonna live. Like, they tell you where you're gonna get stationed or they're gonna deploy you. You don't really have to think too much about your career or what to do. The military kind of tells you what to do. So when you get out of the military, it's all on you. All on you. So that is what I mean by having a plan. You can wing it, but it's going to be really hard. Even when you have a plan, like for me, I had a plan and it was still a lot, you know. The military is all I know. So trying to transition and get out of the military, it does take a lot of planning. At least for me, to get myself where I want to be. When you make that decision to get out, you're making that decision to get out. You're going to have fears, you're going to fear the uncertainty. But if you do have a plan, you have a plan A, a plan B, and maybe a plan C, then it might work out. It will work out, to be honest. My second tip is to make sure you have a resume. I say this because for me, when I joined the military, I was young, 19. I didn't have to have a resume to get into the military. So I never made a resume this whole time. And then to create one, it was like, yikes. I made a civilian and federal resume. I went to somebody in the military that helped me. That was what they specialized, was helping you build resumes. And that person really helped me build a resume. And he translated my enlisted performance reports, or what I did in my career, all that military jargon, and he helped translated it into my resume. Have a really good resume, get a subject matter expert that can help you translate some of those military jargon, because you know how that is. The civilian world is not gonna understand what you did in the military if it's all translated or military abbreviated. A federal resume is really helpful. And also, like, for me, I have a federal job, so just like a little side note, I do recommend getting a federal job if you have so many years in. Like, if you just serve like 4 years or a couple of years, you know, you could do whatever you want. I recommend it, like, for me or somebody like me who serves some time in, because they count all your years. My federal job, it'll count all 9 years towards my retirement. There's something called like a buyback program, but anyway, that's not part of the tips, okay? I'm just like rambling on. So I do recommend getting your resume, civilian, education, federal resume. Get that honed in, you know, before you get out. Get that tailored in. My next tip, which is honestly my number one tip, is freaking get seen. While you're in the military, get seen for medical issues. Whatever you're experiencing right now, whether you have back pain, headaches, whatever is going on, get it documented. Definitely get that all documented, because you can file disability. And then if you're active duty or if you're still in the military, there is something called the BDD program. So the BDD program is where you can file a VA disability claim 180 to 90 days out while you're still active duty. And basically it's to help accelerate your claims. Because sometimes when you file a VA disability claim, it takes like, who knows, like 3 months to 2 years. Everybody's circumstance is different. So I do recommend that. Make sure you have everything documented. And also, when you separate the military, make sure you have all your medical documents, like a hard copy, and a disc copy. You got to get your dental, medical, and mental health records. Hard copy, disc copy. Get it in your hand before you separate from the military. So my next tip is to make copies of everything. Make copies of everything you did. Print out everything. So your DD 214, your enlisted performance reports. Enlisted performance reports is what we call it. EPRs in the Air Force. So in other branches, whatever you did like every single year for your job, make sure you have copies of that. If you had any commendation medals or any type of medals, make copies of that. I made tons of copies of anything I did like during my deployments, any awards I've got. Besides having the medical documents in your hand, you want to have copies of your DD 214, anything you did. Anything relevant, just make copies of it. My next tip is to attend a class called TAPS, which is Transition Assistance Program. In there, it just kind of gives you more information with transitioning out of the military. They give you resources and programs that they have that support veterans in getting jobs and helping you a little bit with making a resume. Like for me, they try to help us make a resume, but literally I did not know what I was doing. Plus they're trying to like jam pack a lot of stuff for you to know in like a week. My next tip would be finances. Like get your finances in order. It would be nice, like helpful if you're getting out of the military and you have a good savings account, an emergency fund, and you just have a little cushion for when you're transitioning out of the military, because transitioning out of the military is not easy. If you have debt, try to pay that down before transitioning if you can, depending on how big the expenses are. Those are my tips on getting out of the military, and I hope these tips were helpful for you. I really think if you want to get out of the military, you will do just fine as long as you have a plan, okay? Make sure this is what you want, and if you want to succeed and get a job and you do all this, you will do just fine. Bye guys.